We're at Winterthur today, and we toured the house and we toured the old gardens and saw the beautiful old trees. And now I am at the Enchanted Garden, which maybe is set up for kids, but maybe adults like me. Let me walk you around this adorable Enchanted Garden at Winterthur. I'm Kendall. This is Kendall's greenhouse, or today Kendall's birdhouse. Thanks for joining me. Once upon a time, long, long ago, a family of adventurers set sail across a great ocean. It was a difficult journey that seemed as if it might never end. But finally, the ship came to a land of rolling green hills, shady forests, and meadows filled with wildflowers and singing birds. The family decided to stay and make the beautiful land their new home. Soon, the family and friends they met had built cozy farmhouses for themselves and sturdy barns for their animals. They planted gardens brimming with fruits, vegetables, and flowers. The children helped with the chores and learned the names of all the plants and animals. Each day after their lessons, the children played outdoors, climbing tall trees, swimming in the ponds, and searching for animal tracks in the snow. But their favorite place to meet was a part of the garden called Oak Hill, where a grove of mighty oaks grew. The children never knew that when they played there, they were not alone. Now there is an old saying, "Fairy folks are in old oaks." The woodland fairies are nature spirits who live on Oak Hill. The fairies watched over the children as they played. The children thought it was the wind whistling in their ears when Lark, the music fairy, sang for them. Blossom, the flower fairy, led them to a patch of lilies of the valley so they could pick sweet-smelling bouquets for their mothers. Glimmer, the magician fairy, sometimes played tricks on them. If the children removed their hats and gloves, he would hide them in the strangest places, but he almost always let the children find their things before it was time to go home. During their growing up years, the children never actually saw the fairies, but they always had fun and always felt safe on Oak Hill. The years passed, and there came a time when the last child left the beautiful land to make their own farm and garden way of life. The fairies knew that was the way of the world, but they were lonely without the children to play with. Then one day, Glimmer had an idea. He said, "Let's make a special garden for children. We can borrow things from the old farm and garden and bring them here to Oak Hill. We'll need a little magic to make it happen, but I know we can do it. We'll call our garden Enchanted Woods." And so they did. At the time Enchanted Woods was created, not many visitors brought their children to Winterthur, so the garden staff set out to create a place especially for them. This was no easy task. The space would need to fit the history of the estate while meeting the high standards of Winterthur founder Henry Francis Pont, whose garden designs are among the finest in the world. 25 years after it opened, and now hosting a second generation of visitors, Enchanted Woods stands as a masterwork of design and intent, a place where kids can be kids, but also a place where they and their grown-ups find great beauty. When Enchanted Woods was conceived in the late 1990s, most children's gardens were gardens in name only. They were essentially playgrounds, purpose-built places full of features decorated in primary colors. Winterthur staff wanted to create a true garden, a place that would delight and inspire, and they paid close attention to what children wanted. High spaces that offered a view, nooks to hide in, and water everywhere, all scaled to the size of a child. Are these body parts? Oh, it's a face. Jeez. The designers identified a site, 3 acres on Oak Hill, that were flat and undeveloped, full of mature trees, an understory, azaleas, and some footpaths. The quarry and sundial gardens were near enough to encourage further exploration. There were restrooms in the vicinity, the area was served by the tram, and there was a tie to estate history. Pont's daughters played there as girls. Most important, they were not undoing any historical design that was important to H.F. Pont. The designers were also fortunate to have a store of objects and artifacts collected by 4 generations of preservationists. Old hairpin fencing and a feed trough from the Winterthur farms, columns from a long-gone rose garden, stone benches, unused sculptures, urns, millstones, fence posts, and stones from the original porte cochere were all incorporated. Winterthur's skilled arborists, carpenters, and painters maintain features such as a giant bird's nest of large woven branches, which offers an elevated view of the garden and a labyrinth, the tulip tree house, fashioned from an upright, hollow poplar trunk where kids can hide and seek, and the fairy cottage, a fantastical playhouse built with large wooden beams, a hearth and walls of stone, and a roof that was recently rethatched in the traditional manner. A small grove of tree stumps encourages athletic footwork. The mushrooms of the forbidden fairy ring, also recently restored, spray cool vapor on hot days. Hidden among the azaleas, the giant face of the green man emerges from the earth. Story stones, a fascinating assortment of stone architectural fragments, mimics nature with its spiral arrangement. A circle of columns forms the acorn tea room, in keeping with the tradition of hospitality and entertaining at Winterthur. A small pond and footbridge hide dozens of green frogs, and the area teems with other small animals such as chipmunks and squirrels. Free of references to such popular tales as Snow White or Peter Rabbit, the garden feels timeless, a blank slate that children could paint with the power of their imaginations. The effect of the design wasn't lost on Olivia Kirkpatrick, even if she couldn't articulate it at the time. Kirkpatrick was about 5 years old when she started visiting the new Enchanted Woods. Playing there set her young imagination free and inspired her decision to major in landscape architecture at the University of Delaware. A Winterthur Garden internship a few years ago was the perfect way to learn more about garden maintenance and to think about design. We don't think about it, but every single space you enter is going to influence the way that you react to it, says Kirkpatrick, a gardener for the historic Worcester Rhododendron Collection at nearby Tyler Arboretum since 2019. Whether you're going in there as an adult or a child, it implores you to look at the world a little differently and interact with it a little differently. It encourages that playfulness and whimsy. Even now I get so excited when I get to play around in the garden. It's such a nice space. I still go there and it has never stopped being exciting. Winterthur is located in northern Delaware and is the premier museum of American decorative arts with an unparalleled collection of nearly 90,000 objects made or used in America since 1640. The collection is displayed in the magnificent 175-room house, much as it was when the family of founder Henry Francis DuPont called it home. Winterthur is also 1,000 acres of protected meadows, woodlands, ponds, and waterways. The 60-acre garden, designed by DuPont, is among America's best, with magnificent plantings and massive displays of color throughout the year. The graduate degree programs and extensive research library make Winterthur an important center for the study of American art and culture. In his later years, DuPont wrote, "I sincerely hope that the museum will be a continuing source of inspiration and education for all time, and that the gardens and grounds will of themselves be a country place museum where visitors may enjoy, as I have, not only the flowers, trees, and shrubs, but also the sunlit meadows, shady wood paths, and the peace and great calm of a country place which has been loved and taken care of for 3 generations. H.F. DuPont."
Oh, that's so cute. Oh, it's darling.
Henry Francis DuPont had 3 lifelong passions: gardening, cattle breeding, and collecting American antiques. Gardening was his greatest. Even after he turned his home into a museum in 1951, he kept ownership of the garden until his death in 1969. He often said that though he was a mere visitor to the museum, he was always Winterthur's head gardener. 3 generations of the DuPont family gardened at Winterthur beginning in 1839, when Evelina DuPont and her husband Antoine Bitterman came to live here. Before they named the estate, built the house, or even chose the site for the well, the Bittermans considered flowers. Flowers were Evelina's passion, and the same is true of all the owners of Winterthur. Each generation built on the work of its predecessors, all preferring a garden that made the most of the natural landscape. The most formally landscaped and gardened areas at Winterthur are those closest to the house, and were designed by DuPont and his dear friend Marion Kruger Coffin, the first woman in the country to own a landscape architecture firm. As you move farther away, the tame, cultivated garden gives way to the freer, wild garden style. The Wild Garden, a book by William Robinson, inspired a new type of garden design in Great Britain, Ireland, and America at the turn of the 20th century. An idea that appealed to large landowners such as DuPont, the Wild Garden realizes gardening on a broad scale, placing perfectly hardy exotic plants under condition where they will thrive. At Winterthur, color is the thing that really counts more than any other, DuPont said. The flora, mainly naturalized exotics planted in large drifts and grouped with other plants that harmonize in color and form, is arranged to appear as if it grew spontaneously. The 60-acre Winterthur garden is surrounded by nearly 1,000 acres of meadows, farmland, and waterways. The views in every direction are carefully designed and important to the whole. The paths are an integral part of the overall design, curving rather than straight, following the contours of the land, passing around trees, drawing walkers into the garden. H.F. DuPont said a garden should fit in so well with the natural landscape that one should hardly be conscious that it has been accomplished. He took inspiration from the landscape he grew up in. The Winterthur garden is built out of the fields, streams, hills, and woodlands of the beautiful Brandywine Valley. After gardening at Winterthur for almost 70 years, DuPont was awarded with Garden Club of America Medal of Honor in 1956. The club proclaimed him one of the best, even the best, gardener this country has ever produced. The award noted the garden's woodland layers, which DuPont had opened to create beautiful vistas. The woodland trees, underplanted with a profusion of native wildflowers and rhododendron, acre upon acre of dogwood, great banks of azaleas, lilies and peonies, iris and other rare specimens from many lands, each planted with taste and discrimination, each known, loved, and watched, looking as though placed there by nature, forms one of the great gardens. Most early 20th century wild gardens have since yielded to land development and natural disasters. Winterthur is one of the last. It is surrounded by nearly 1,000 acres of farmland, all of it protected under a conservation easement, so the property can never be commercially developed. We manage the garden today as though H.F. DuPont were alive, and his vision still informs our every decision. We hope you enjoy it. Thanks for joining me in that walk around the Enchanted Gardens here at Winterthur. We still have more tours to come, so I'm going to get on to my next garden adventure. Hope to see you again in another video soon. Bye.